These are your notes on the endocrine system. The endocrine system is primarily responsible for maintaining homeostasis within the human body. Homeostasis is just the scientific term for balance. So it's a way of keeping balance in your body. That balance can come in many forms. It could be a balance of temperature, so your body doesn't over-fever. When you get sick, you produce a fever. That is your body's reaction to a pathogen, trying to kill that pathogen. You have regulatory hormones in place to make your fever go up, but not too high. So there's a homeostasis that exists in there. In order to keep this homeostasis, the endocrine system has to be able to communicate with every other body system. All right. The endocrine system communicates through chemical messengers called hormones. Those hormones are produced in organs and glands of the endocrine system. We're going to talk about key organs and glands and the hormones that are paired with them. We're not going to talk about every hormone and gland in the endocrine system, and we're not going to talk about every hormone that gland produces. We're just going to hit on big ticket items, so to speak. The way these notes will be formulated is I'll tell you the organ or gland. I'll tell you what hormone it is most closely associated with or what it produces in the most quantity, and then the main function of that hormone. It'll be set up like this, a sort of table. The function will be in parentheses after the name of the hormone. First organ we're going to talk about is the pancreas. Pancreas's main function in the endocrine system is to produce insulin. Insulin is a protein or hormone in this case that signals cells to absorb glucose. If you don't produce enough insulin, or you don't produce any, or your body rejects your insulin, that is typically resulting in diabetes. People oftentimes have to get injections of insulin or be on an insulin pump in order to keep insulin in their body so that they don't spike too high with blood sugar or drop too low. Next up are ovaries. Ovaries are in females only. Their main function is to produce estrogen. They also produce a little testosterone. And estrogen stimulates development. So usually you get a high influx of estrogen, girls, right around puberty. It stimulates development of all things associated with puberty. So normally you start having your period after you get this influx of estrogen. Typically breast tissue develops further. Normal puberty things. Next up is testes. These are males only. Testes is the plural. One testy is a testis. They produce testosterone. They also produce a little bit of estrogen. This stimulates development in men. So right around puberty, same thing occurs. We get a flood of testosterone. Our voices deepen. We start growing facial hair. Things like that associated with puberty in men. Next up, we have the adrenal medulla. What does adrenal sound like? Adrenaline. The adrenal medulla produces adrenaline. Epinephrine is just another name for adrenaline. So when you get like an EpiPen shot, that is really just epinephrine. Epinephrine is associated with your fight or flight response. So it increases heart rate and respiratory rate. So that HR is heart rate, that RR is respiratory rate. And last up, your pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland is responsible for so many things. We aren't going to list them. I'm just going to show you an image of all of the things your pituitary gland is responsible for. There are some super nerds out there. By super nerd, I mean like multiple PhDs in different fields associated with this, that believe that we actually don't have much free will at all. We are just completely dependent upon what chemicals are being released at what specific times. that generate all of our desires and aspirations and immediate decisions. I don't tend to agree with that, but super nerds think it, so get some credence. So here is a list of all of the things your anterior pituitary gland does, This isn't even all of the things. These are just some of the main things. It releases this thyroid hormone that stimulates your thyroid, which regulates energy levels. It's got this follicle-stimulating hormone that triggers a release of an egg to mature and then move from fallopian tube to uterus to potentially be impregnated. It's also got this luteinizing hormone in men, and the luteinizing hormone generates sperm production and a whole host of other things, as you can see. So that pituitary gland is responsible for much of the processes that go on in our body.